Hello everybody and welcome back to the Ōkami walkthrough. We've covered everything that we can in Agata Forest and Shinshu Field, for now anyway. And so it's time to head forward. See new parts of the world, and trust me, it's going to be exciting. Although I do think first we have got a little bit of stuff to cover in Agata Forest. Basically stuff that we can use Vine on. It's just a little kind of holdover from the end of the last part, really. Because as you can see, there is a Konohana Blossom up here that we can get to. And once I stop being a Nimrod, we are actually going to succeed. Because up here we have a chest which contains a stray bead. I have to say, it's very nice that it's technically so easy to spot that Konohana Blossom. And to be perfectly honest, that's something that I would definitely praise the game for. If I don't already, you know, praise it enough. But it's basically that with pretty much all of, if not the majority of the secret stuff, you can see where it is. Or like, you can see something and think, ah, there might be a secret there. And so you're more likely to kind of look at it and explore and try and reach it. So they're not evilly hiding stuff from you, for the most part. There are a few instances where that's simply not the case. But, oh well. Now, if you wanted to try and finish Sleepy's side quest right now, there's the beehive that you would need to get that thing completed, but I think you need a more powerful version of Power Slash to get it down. I'm not 100% sure if that is indeed correct, but I think it certainly couldn't do any harm to get, well, wait a bit and get the more powerful version of Power Slash. And thankfully we just have enough Demon Fangs to get the wood mat. Not that I am going to purchase it just yet. Yeah, I suppose my brain is thinking, well, we're gonna be... Well, I want to make sure that I've got as much... well, as many Demon Fangs as is humanly possible. And if I've only gotten that much from doing the dungeon, then I just want to make sure that I hold on to them, because the wood mat's not important. It's really not. But we've reached the river. Kakari's trying to fix the bridge, but oh dear. And so we begin a little mini-game. Music right now is Waterfall. And basically, if you hadn't kind of figured out by the 6 massive hook-like things on the log, you need to use your Vine technique to connect this to all of the Konohana Blossoms that you possibly can. There's only 6 that you need, and you do have a sort of limited number of ink pots, but basically as long as you get all 6 of these things within the time limit, which is pretty easy, it's just a case of getting your timing down. But it is possible to fail that. It's not pretty, but you should be able to manage okay. I think if you fail, it just starts again, but... oof, thank God for that. And we have a new bridge! Which is absolutely wonderful. Now, I believe music right now is Thank Goodness for Ōkami. And now Issun's giving a life lesson, which he may need to listen to himself. And Susanoo seems to have vanished, you know? But yeah, Issun's right, he'll pop up somewhere eventually. It's bloody Susanoo. Now, I am going to feed Umi right now, because I can. Don't worry if you decide not to. You will be heading back to Agata Forest soon enough, and at that point, that's when you're going to want to feed Umi. With pretty much all of the animals, they aren't missable. There's, I think, there's only one set of animals that is missable. But everything else you can get at any time, so that's a really nice thing. In one instance that you'll be seeing soon enough, I thought I'd missed one. I had missed it, but it wasn't permanently missed. Because I was terrified about that one. So, basically this is telling us about ink bullets. Basically, if you kind of just dot enemies, you can shoot an ink bullet at them. It'll damage them, but I've never really found a use. Well, I don't really ever use them. It's mostly because if you're doing an ink bullet, you might as well just do like a power slash or something. It's more powerful. And also ink bullets generally just confuse enemies for a bit. It's not particularly great. But here we are in Taka Pass. Taka Pass? Taka Pass. Good grief. Every now and again you just get a really posh sounding thing coming out of me. I don't know why. But, now I can't find anything specifically that relates to a Taka Pass in Japanese mythology or Japan in general. It probably is something that works, but I've not found anything just yet. Japanese name is Takamiya Daira, which is literally Plain of the High Shrine. Which will make sense soon enough. Because we are eventually going to make our way to a place called Kusa Village. And that is basically a village that holds a shrine that's in a high place. So this is literally the Plain of the High Shrine. It's a nifty little kind of literal name, but once again, I can't find anything, or at least I haven't yet. Now, obviously we had the fishing minigame with Ōkami. Basically, those fish, just sell them. You'll get pretty good money for, like, the big uns. And there is a nifty little thing where if you sell fish in different locations to where you caught them, then they are worth more money. Sort of generally. I think it's mostly to do with the... well, one of the places that we're going to visit quite a bit later. It's one of the places in the second third of the game, and that has a very specific reason for fish and more expensive prices that they will pay to get your fish. But seeing as this place is cursed, this is the only route that we can take, which is kind of annoying. But it'll be fine. And oh! That sounds familiar. Hello, Waka. And since he's here, you can probably guess where this is heading. Now, something I feel that I should point out about Waka is that obviously you've noticed that he uses a lot of French phrases. So, moi, bonjour, ma chérie, au revoir, so on and so forth. But that's actually something that is specific to the localization. Because in the original Japanese script, what he tended to do was use American phrases. So, if you think about him using Dante's "Let's rock, baby," that was the sort of stuff that Waka used. And if you have played Ōkami, which is the game's DS sequel, which I have... Ugh. It's such a disappointing game. But Kuro, in that, does basically what Waka did in the Japanese version of this game. He uses sort of American cool kid phrasing. And just go for it! Should sound familiar to anybody who has played Beautiful Joe, because that is the thing that is said, I think, pretty much at the start of every single level. So it's another Hideki Kamiya game getting beautifully referenced. Now I have to say, this fight is so much easier than the first one, because there is no water. Water is the bane of Ami's existence. And so to not have to deal with it right now is just making this fight a lot simpler. It's still difficult, don't get me wrong. But you aren't necessarily going to need to use the rosaries, you can kind of attack however you like. It's just a case of dodging, making sure you know his attacks. They're not really very changed from the last time. But by this point you should be much more adept at combat to get through this a lot better. And also because you don't have the water getting in your way, it should just be a lot smoother of an experience. Now, something that I feel I should probably point out, another thing, is that while Waka kind of comes across as a bit of an asshole at times, and he's a bit weird and he kind of turns up every now and again, and he's a sort of annoying boss, he's actually one of my favourite characters in the game. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I pretty much love the entire main cast of Ōkami, because Ami is just one of the most amazing protagonists ever. Issun is the best thing in the game. And I believe he actually has the most lines of dialogue that Hideki Kamiya has ever written for a character ever. Because Issun doesn't shut up. And he talks a lot, and a lot, and a lot. And obviously because this is an RPG, that's a lot of text. And then you have Waka, who is really amazing. Especially as you get later on into the game. And there are other main cast members. Obviously Susanoo, he's just a laugh every time you see him. But he's also a surprisingly very deep character. So in general, I mean, that's just all of the sort of primary cast members we've seen so far, and they're already all excellent. But that is Waka defeated for the second time. And so he's mentioning about Lake Harami and the Moon Cave, and we have been there and seen that things are not good. But there is a barrier there that we saw, that we couldn't get past, and he's basically just telling us how we're going to get through. Because we need the Serpent Crystal. I wonder what's going to be at the end of the next dungeon. And now that Wakka's buggered off, I feel I should probably add, in addition to what I was saying about Wakka earlier with his Mon Ami Ma Chérie stuff that's in the Western version, the English expressions that he uses are, well, they're obviously in the original Japanese, but they are also in pretty much every non-English version of the game. So, pretty much we got the slightly weird version, just because we speak English, so having him say English phrases is not really that odd. It makes more sense for him to speak a different language. So it's an excellent level of localization, really. And if there's one thing I really should praise with this game, in addition to everything else, is its localization. It's amazing. Because it pays very diligent respect to all of the Japanese stuff in the game. And it doesn't, well, in some instances it dumbs it down. So obviously Kyushi was Kushinanda, and Wakka was Ushiwaka. But you still get full things like Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu and Ōkami. Like, they didn't change the title. And for the most part, there aren't any spelling errors. There's maybe one or two hidden throughout the game. But for the most part, everything is correct, and grammatically correct as well. Which just goes to show the level of care that they put into making this game, both in actually making it and also the localization team. When it comes to Ōkami, however, that simply isn't the case. I think Capcom have just gotten incredibly lazy with their localizations as of late. Prime example would probably be Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, because apparently that one is absolutely atrocious. Still, we have found the Guardian Sapling of Taka Pass. I think it's time to restore this place to its original glory.